Slow-motion shot of a honey badger being stung repeatedly by a swarm of bees. It doesn't flinch, it keeps eating. Imagine waking up every single morning and the entire world is trying to kill you, and you are the size of a large house cat. Welcome to the life of the honey badger, a creature so stubbornly, magnificently, catastrophically built for suffering that scientists genuinely aren't sure if it's the toughest animal on Earth or just the most committed to making bad decisions. Today, we're gonna go deep, real deep, because being born a honey badger isn't a blessing, it's not even neutral, it is, in almost every measurable way, a disaster. Let's start with the basics, the body. Now, on paper, the honey badger, Mellivora capensis, sounds fine. It's a member of the weasel family, stocky build, short legs, weighs maybe 12 to 16 pounds, about 2 feet long. You've seen bigger dogs living in purses. But here's where it gets interesting. That skin, it's not normal skin. Scientists describe it as rubbery and loose, so loose in fact, that if a predator grabs a honey badger by the back of the neck, the honey badger can literally turn around inside its own skin and bite whatever's holding it. Honey badger twisting in a leopard's jaws, biting back. Think about that. Evolution looked at this animal and said, "You're going to be grabbed a lot. Let's make the skin escapable." That is not a feature, that is a warning. That is evolution writing you a sticky note that says, your life will involve constant grabbing. Good luck. And then there's the claws. Massive, curved, almost disproportionately enormous front claws, built for digging. A honey badger can excavate a tunnel deep enough to disappear into in under 10 minutes. Impressive, yes, but ask yourself, why does a small animal need to vanish into the earth that quickly? Because something is always chasing it. Then there's the musk glands. Like a skunk, the honey badger has pouches near its rear that can emit a suffocating, acrid smell, used both for marking territory and for deterring predators. So yes, this animal smells terrible by design. Its own body has committed to being repulsive as a survival strategy. At some point, being born a honey badger means accepting that you will be stinky, perpetually grabbed, and living underground. That's just Tuesday. Now let's talk about what the honey badger eats, because this is where things stop being merely difficult and start becoming unhinged. The honey badger is famously omnivorous. Berries, roots, small mammals, eggs, lizards. Fine, normal. But the honey badger has a particular appetite for things that actively don't want to be eaten. Bee larvae, stored inside hives, guarded by thousands of bees. The honey badger doesn't care. It has thick enough skin to withstand stings that would kill a dog. It walks into the swarm, takes what it wants, and walks out, covered in bees, occasionally passing out briefly from the sheer volume of venom, and then waking up and continuing to eat. It passes out and keeps going. That is not toughness. That is a medical emergency that the animal has simply normalized. But the diet gets darker. One of the honey badger's preferred delicacies is venomous snakes, puff adders, Cape cobras, black mambas, one of the most lethal snakes on the planet. The honey badger will hunt them, get bitten, go into toxic shock, lie motionless for a few hours, and then wake up, shake it off, and finish eating the snake. Let that sink in. It survives a black mamba bite, not because it's immune, it's not fully immune, but because its body is so extraordinarily resistant to neurotoxins that it experiences what amounts to a very bad nap and then gets up. If you were a honey badger, your lunch could kill you. And sometimes it does, but mostly you just keep going. There is something profoundly sad about that. Okay, so maybe the honey badger has rich social bonds to fall back on. Maybe there's community, love, connection. No. Honey badgers are among the most solitary animals in the mammalian world. They live alone, they forage alone, they travel enormous distances, up to 17 miles in a single night, alone. Males and females come together only briefly to mate. After that, gone. Single honey badger trotting across vast open savanna. Mothers raise cubs by themselves, a single cub usually, and that cub stays with mom for up to 2 years. 2 years of learning how to fight leopards, eat cobras, and suffer through bee stings, mentored by a mother who is simultaneously trying to survive her own daily horrors. And then the cub leaves, forever. There are no honey badger communities, no group hunts, no social grooming, no safety in numbers. Every honey badger is an island. A tiny, furious, stinking island surrounded entirely by things that want to eat it. Scientists studying honey badger behavior have noted that when two honey badgers meet in the wild, even familiar ones, the interaction is typically brief, intense. There's no reunion, no warmth, just two creatures who have both seen too much, nodding at each other and moving on. Let's talk predators, because this is where you truly understand the scale of the honey badger's curse. Honey badgers are preyed upon, or at least attempted upon, by lions, leopards, crocodiles, large birds of prey, hyenas, pythons, and wild dogs. That is a greatest hits list of apex killers. The honey badger faces all of them. A lion penning a honey badger escapes. And here's the cruel irony. The honey badger's reputation for toughness means that predators still keep trying. A leopard that has been bitten, scratched, musk-bombed, and had the honey badger escape from its own skin will sometimes come back and try again, because leopards are ambitious and hungry. Documented encounters include honey badgers being thrown into the air by lions and continuing to fight, being swallowed partially by pythons and chewing their way out from inside, being swarmed by hyenas, multiple at once, and simply refusing to die. The honey badger doesn't win these fights because it's powerful. It wins, when it wins, through a combination of pain resistance, psychological warfare, and what can only be described as sheer bloody-minded refusal to cooperate with death. That's not a superpower. That's a trauma response. And here is where being born a honey badger becomes genuinely tragic. Because honey badgers are smart. Studies show they have problem-solving abilities comparable to primates. In captivity, they've been recorded using tools, dragging objects to use as steps to reach food, building structures to help them escape. One famous captive honey badger named Stoffel repeatedly escaped his enclosure, building ramps, using sticks, and problem-solving his way through every upgrade his keepers made. Captive honey badger Stoffel manipulating locks and climbing built structures. He kept escaping, not because he was bored, because he's intelligent enough to want something more than the cage. And that's the gut punch, isn't it? Imagine being smart enough to understand your situation, smart enough to know that every day is a gauntlet, smart enough to plan, to solve, to strategize, but still small, still alone, still waking up in a world that is comprehensively hostile to your existence. Intelligence without community, problem-solving without peace. That is the honey badger. So here we are, born into a body built to be grabbed, armed with tools designed for a life of constant emergency, equipped with enough intelligence to understand the chaos, but not enough power to escape it. Alone, always. Underestimated, always. Surviving, but barely, and usually with a face full of bee stings. Does the honey badger care? No, obviously not. That's the whole thing. The honey badger is famous for not caring. But I think that's the saddest part. Not that it suffers. Lots of animals suffer. It's that the honey badger has been so shaped by suffering that indifference became his personality. The toughness isn't a choice. It's the only option.
When your entire existence is hostile by default, you either stop caring or you stop existing. The honey badger chose the former. And maybe there's something quietly admirable in that, but let's not romanticize it too much, because at the end of the day, the honey badger goes to sleep, alone, in a hole in the ground, smelling terrible, still metabolizing cobra venom. And tomorrow, it does it all again. That's why it sucks to be born a honey badger. If you made it this far, you're the honey badger of YouTube viewers. You don't give up. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into animals living their most difficult lives. Drop a comment below. Which animal do you think has it worse? I'll see you in the next one.